Hello everyone, good afternoon. And today we have a webinar on mastering document and workflow management with Krion6D. So myself, Manoj Victor, I have a master's in construction technology and management, and I'm PMP certified, and I have 10 plus years of professional experience. Just give me a second. Yeah, so today's webinar, we'll be looking at these topics where we'll be looking at how Krion6D can be integrated with design authoring tools like Revit, AutoCAD to support your CAD BIM workflows, and how we could configure workflows. So configuration of workflows translates to how you can configure review approval workflows inside Krion6D. And once we have our workflows configured, we could have our design review and approval process seamlessly streamlined within Krion6D. And we could also see that how we handle multiple versions of the document and how we are tracking the changes which is happening to the documents. And this also helps you with the revision control and change management. And finally, we'll look at how we could transmit documents between different teams and how that can be archived. And lastly, we'll be looking at the analytical part, how we could export reports from Krion6D and connect it with various BI tools. In this particular example, we'll showcase how we have connected with the Power BI tool to handle the document log process, right? Moving into the webinar, we'll have 3 quiz sessions in between the webinar. So I would like you to be a little vigilant during the webinar so that we could answer the quiz in between the session, right? Moving on. So what is a CD? For people who haven't heard of CD, so CD is a common data environment, which is a centralized platform that carries all your project management information from your design cycle to your operation cycle. So this acts as a single source of information throughout the project, right? And this CD can be cloud-based or server-based, and it is a centralized repository as we read about, and it completely handles the entire lifecycle of project. And this also integrates with BIM and CAD workflows. So all your BIM-related workflows, when you're handling it, it can be seamlessly integrated within the CD, and it helps you to collaborate more efficiently and transparently within a single environment, right? So this is different, components of Krion6D, where we have document management, then we have issue management, and we support the project management where RFI submittals and reviews, as in your schedule task planner, can be added. And we support the entire BIM management where comparisons between BIM models and clash analysis and issue tracking can be handled. And we also support federated model views inside the Krion6D environment. So today's webinar will restrict and we'll concentrate more on the document management part, how we handle ISO 19650. So ISO 19650 basically translates into role-based access permissions, and it helps you with the file naming conventions and version managements and workflow approvals to handle your work in progress, shared and published state of documentations, right? And also it helps you with the comparisons between different versions, which really enhances your construction workflows and document management workflows. So moving on, the first use case within the document management is the integration of Krion6D with various design authoring tools. Essentially, we'll be looking at Autodesk, Revit, and AutoCAD. So this, you could see that this is a Revit interface where we have a Krion6D plugin, which comes with the Krion6D licenses. And once the user logs into the application within Revit, he will be able to upload the files directly from Revit to Krion6D. And later, it can be assigned a workflow, and you could view the model within the Krion6D platform, which doesn't require any additional licenses for the viewer. So the model that is already been prepared on Revit, maybe BIM modeler or a designer who's preparing model on Revit, they host the model inside Krion6D, where people can view the models without the need of any external platform like Revit, right? And they can collaborate efficiently within the platform using markups and different tools. So moving on, we would be seeing how we can configure workflows. So workflows can be of 2 types. One being user-based workflows, where I can say that this particular document has to be approved by so-and-so person. I can nominate a specific user to upload that particular document in a particular review step, or I can attach it to a user group. So user group meaning it can be a structural team or it can be an architectural team where you have multiple members associated within a particular user group, and I can configure my workflow to handle how many of them have to approve this document so that it goes to the next step, right? So this particular example, we are creating a 2-step approval workflows. So Krion6D handles up to 7 steps of approvals. So I could have a parallel reviewer in a single step. I can also have a single reviewer. So I'm choosing what workflow category it is. So I'm dealing with document. So the workflow category we've chosen as document. And I can give the step name here. I'm giving it as first step. And I'm giving a tag for it. So turnaround time is specified here as 2 days. And I can specify the user who has to take action on this particular step, right? So I'm choosing Ashwin Kumar on this particular step, where he would be taking up the document for review. And the step 2 being taken up by Manoj, myself, and I could also specify what should be a step color so that it shows up in the document panel where it can distinguish different statuses by colors, right? And I can add any workflow notes. So here we have specified that every member must review. So any person who is assigned here has to review this document, right? So this is one workflow creation where we are handling it using the single user-based approval. So now we are creating another approval process. So this is where we are going to handle the user group-based approval. Yes, so I'm choosing a user group and I can specify whether minimum number of reviewers are required, or I can also choose within this particular group, I need one reviewer to approve it for the document to go to the next stage. So if you have multiple user groups in a single review step, I can specify that within each user group, I need one approval from a person so that it goes to the next step. So I'm specifying here that 2 people have to approve it, only then it goes to the next step of the review. Right. I can also add watchers. So these people are they are part of this workflow, but they don't have any action to take, right? So they'll be apprised of how the workflow is performing, if it is approved or not approved, but they would not have any access to approve or review the document. They are just added as watchers. So these are 2 ways of how we handle workflows, one being user-based and another being user group-based, and I can control how many users within a user group has to approve a document. So now going into the first quiz, I think I'll have my marketing team to show the poll. So there's a poll coming up on your screen. I would request all the participants to answer. Okay, so we'll have a countdown of 5. So we'll showcase the answers on the screen. So we'll move on to the answers. Would you be able to publish how many people have attended this quiz? I think we'll move on to the next. Okay, so we'll check the answers for the questions. So how many approval steps are available in Krion6D? We saw that we can configure up to 7-step approval workflows. So the right answer is 7. And the second question was if Krion6D supports direct document integration with Revit and AutoCAD. The answer is both of these platforms are supported with live integration with Krion6D, right? You can push and pull models and CAD drawings from Revit and AutoCAD respectively. And going ahead with the next topic on version management. So version management is a very important topic when it comes to document management and document control. So we would go ahead and check how the version management happens within Krion6D and how the check-in and check-out of documents work and how we could create versions and how we can compare versions for different document types. So we'll see an example where we can compare it with PDF type documents and how we can compare it with a BIM file, which is of Revit or any other file formats. Right? So now this particular example, I'm just trying to check out this document. I'm checking out a document of the second floor. So this particular document is checked out. It is saved in my local. And whenever someone else is trying to check out this document, it shows a warning that this document has been already checked out. So there is no chance of someone working on the same document which has already been getting edited by someone. So within AutoCAD, I'm opening up the checked out document which has been saved in my local. I'm just opening it in my AutoCAD. And I'm just doing some modifications for this. I'm just removing certain open spaces and I'm adding certain wall elements. I'm just adding few wall elements. I'm using the offset to just create a few wall elements inside this loop. And later I will just save it and push it back to my Krion6D. I'm also changing some door elements here. So once I'm done with the changes, I'm just saving this and I'm uploading this file back to the Krion6D. So I'm just uploading it back to the same folder location. So this is the folder from which I opened the file. So I'm just uploading it back. So now I could see that there's a version B that's getting created. So I'll just go back and come to this particular folder, and I could see there's a version B created for this file. And if I go and open this file, I will be able to check for the changes that I've done. So I removed certain components, the door has been mirrored, and I could also see the walls that I've modified from my AutoCAD. Right now, once I have these changes, I could also push from my AutoCAD. I can push it as a plotted file, so meaning it can be changed into a PDF as well. So now I'm doing the comparison between these 2 versions of the file. So I have 2 versions of the file, which is A, B. Now I'm doing the PDF compare between these 2 versions. Like I'm doing the comparison between these 2 versions of the file to check what has been changed from my version 1 to version 2. So it gets created in the views compare, and I could just go into this comparison and I'll be able to see the changes that has been done. So you could see whatever change that we have done, the door elements have been changed and the openings have been removed and the wall elements that has been created, all this show up as a result of the comparison so that people can understand what has been changed from version 1 to version 2. And this is more for the people who are into a BIM workflow, where you can do the same comparisons onto your BIM models as well. So in this particular example, what we're trying to do is, we are creating a comparison between 2 Revit files. So I already have my document compare created, and now I could see what are the changes that has been happening from my version 1 to version 2. So here I could go into a more elaborative comparison where I can go and compare between different change types. So if it is a parameter based comparison or if it is a geometry based comparison, I can do a side-by-side comparison as well. So in this, you could see that this element was there in version 1 and it is deleted in version 2, and some items are added in version 2, it was not there in version 1. And any modified element, it also shows up whether what parameters have been changed. So I could see that the critical path for the element has been moved, and I could also see these are different parameters that have been changed from version 1 to version 2. Right. So all this related parametric information from what has changed from version 1 to version 2 is really significant when we have to go into the document management and review part, right? Whenever you have a review that is coming for the version 2, so you could always have a comparison between what has changed from version 1 to version 2, right? So once we have our versions managed inside the system, we would be able to start a review of the document. So as we have configured workflows and how we have managed different versions of the document, so I can start a review of the document using the workflow configure, and I can handle the statuses based on the workflow configuration that I've done. And we'll see how revisions are handled inside the Krion6D environment. So we saw versions, now we'll see how revisions are handled, right? So moving on, I'm just going into a specific project and I'm going into a document. So I'm picking up a document that I'm starting for a review. So I'm assigning a workflow here. I'm assigning a 3-step workflow. So I'm initiating this particular workflow as a super user, as a super admin. I'm just initiating this review in the first step. And now it has gone to the second step, right? And once it gets into the second step, I would be able to, so you could see the user here. Now it has changed to Ashwin. So he was in the second step of the review. Now he would go into this particular document. He would put his review comments, and he would, if there are no comments on the document, he can directly put his stamp on whether this has been reviewed or approved from his side. So it comes with a timestamp as well as the user details who has done this review, right? And I can also add any review comments. So in case if I have a specific comment on this particular stair, I'll be able to add my comments, markups onto the document, right? And it also supports text. So any text that needs to be added, and if the text has to be given a different font color, that is all supported in the PDF editor viewer tool that we have inside Krion6D. So once this is done, I'm just, so we are still in Ashwin's login in step 2. So he's approving this document to the next step. So now it triggers a mail. So as a user, I get a mail from Krion6D that this particular document is there in my task for approval. So now I open this particular document, I could see all the review comments that has been given by the earlier reviewer. So I could specify my stamp, whether I review this document. So I'll just give a approved status to this document, and I could specify any other markup. So in case if I have a specific markup to give, I could give a specific comments on this drawing, and I can save this as a comment from my side and submit it. So I've just said that the staircase is reviewed and it's found to be okay. So I'm just going into the folder. I could see that the status has been, so once it is approved, the status is changed to approved, right? So now I could filter documents based on statuses and different entities. So this particular document is approved, and now we would see how the how the revision management happens. So now the document is approved, and whenever I have a new revision of this document, I'll just load it back to the system, right? And when I'm uploading the same file, now you could see the version has been changed from 1 to 2, and the revision has changed from 1 to 2, and the version is again updated back to A. So I could see a complete log of what has happened in my revision 1. I have 4 versions in revision 1, and a new version has been created in revision 2. So this way we handle efficiently how many revision of documents has really come into the system, and how many versions pertaining to each revision also is available for the user to have a look at, right? So we'll go into the second quiz for this session. I think you should have, so I would request all the participants, all the attendees to just try on these questions. So we'll look at the answers. So when does revision update happen in Krion6D? So it happens when a new file is added after the document is approved. So we saw that once the document is approved, it fixes the revision, and whenever a new file is added over to the approved document, it creates a new revision of the file. And does Krion6D provide version management for the documents? As we have seen how we efficiently manage versions of the document. So the answer is true, right? So moving further, we'll see how we handle transmittals and attachments. So let's go. So we have different documents available here. I have my transmittals, right? So I can create a transmittal. So transmittal is when you have your documents created and you want to share it across to a different team so that they can use the content of your transmittal to take up their downstream activities, right? So I can give a description of the transmittal, and I can assign a workflow so that I can say this particular transmittal has to go to a structural team or it has to go to an MEP team, right? And I can attach whatever is available in my Krion6D drive. And it doesn't just mean I can attach document, but I can attach all the different entities, right? So now I have a transmitter that is created, and now I have an option to archive this. So once I archive this transmitter, it gets stored as a zip file for people to download. So we have an archive folder, and this archive folder has permissions to certain users. So whenever a new transmitter has been archived, it comes to the archive folder where people can download this transmitter document, and it shows a list of all document that is available. And I could also see a transmitter sheet that is created with the list of all the documents that has been part of this transmitter, and I could also see the version and revision information. So this is of a major advantage, where whenever you send a transmitter, you have the complete understanding of what documents have been sent, right? So this is of a scenario that we have been seeing with a lot of customers, where there is a constraint, there is a inefficiency that we have been seeing with a lot of documents being shared of older versions and older revisions, which is impacting a lot of time during the design process. So this is really efficient, where we are tracking the entire versions and revisions of the document, and I can also see the status of the file. So I need not have to start my working unless the file that has been transmitted to me has been approved. So I have a clear version revision control of the document that has been transmitted to me, right? So moving on, how we could extend other capabilities of the document management. So when it comes to a common data environment, we use document as a base which can connect to different other entities. So within a common data environment, which is beyond the scope of today's webinar, but we have different entities like issues, RFIs, and submitters, transmitters. All this are having a base of documents. So we'll see in this particular working how documents are being used to create RFIs, right? So I can pinpoint my RFI onto a specific bin component, or if it's a CAD file or a PDF file, I can also pin it onto my CAD and PDF files as well. So in this example, we are trying to pin a specific RFI onto the bin element. So within a document, I'm actually accessing the metadata within the document, which is this particular model element, and specifying a workflow for this RFI. So specifically, this is a steel related RFI that has been created. So I can specify, or I can route it to a steel design consultant who has to take action on this, right? So now this document is attached to this RFI, and in case if I have to attach some more documentation onto this RFI, maybe a 2D plan or 2D drawing that needs to be assigned to this RFI, I can do that. I can also specify different metadata information like location, so that people understand this RFI has been submitted onto which location within the project. And now I could see that this has been triggered and someone is answering on this RFI. And once they close this RFI, I will be able to see that this RFI has been approved, as in it has been answered by the respective action owner on this RFI, right? So these are different ways of connecting our documents with that of different entities like issues and RFIs. So the next and the concluding part of this webinar is how we handle analytics, right? So we have different ways of extracting reports from Krion6D. So in this particular example, where we have tried to export the reports, the complete document log from Krion6D, and we have tried to integrate it with the Power BI templates that we have with Krion6D. So this is a small example of how you could have insights about the document that is coming into your project or into your organization. So I can filter down my entire list of documents based on project or based on the first user who has uploaded it, and I can also have a slicer where I can specifically look at documents pertaining to a certain time interval. So if I have to check a document which had been done during the month of April, I may not have to go through a list of document, or I have to do it manually, but I can just do a time filter and check for the document. And in case if we have different statuses being managed, what are the documents that have been pending, or what are the documents that are still not being approved or not started with the approval workflow as well, that can all be managed within this dashboard. So it can give you insights about how the documents within the system have been behaving, or how the statuses are managed, and how different people updating the document is captured within Krion6D. And moving ahead, I will have the final quiz for the session, and we'll go into the Q&A after. So will you be able to archive the transmitters in Krion6D? And second question being, what are the different ways to host Krion6D application? So we'll have a countdown of 5, then we'll look at the answers. Okay, so we'll look at the answers for this quiz. So will you be able to archive the transmitters in Krion6D? The answer is true. So we saw how we could archive the transmitters and how we can download it and have it used for our design authoring, and later how that can be again brought inside Krion6D as a new version when they're uploading it, right? And the last question being, what are the different ways to host Krion6D applications? So when we looked at what common data environment is, we saw it can be a cloud or server-based deployments, and we see a lot of applications that are available on cloud for the common data environments. But Krion6D is quite flexible when it comes to the deployment availabilities. So it can not only host it on cloud, you can also host it on-premise, which is on local area network, which is on LAN. And in case if you already have a private cloud, or if you already have a AWS or Azure subscription and you want this application and data to be hosted on your private cloud, we could have this deployment done on your private cloud as well. So the answer for this question is all of these.